It sets up Traoré's defiance while hinting at eerie undertones. A low, pulsing drone hums, layered with faint crowd chants and the crackle of static, like a radio signal gone wrong. The screen is black with flickering red text. One voice. One moment. A continent rises. A glitchy map of Africa fades in, zooming into Burkina Faso, then out to the United Nations in New York. The date flashes, July 10th, 2025. Welcome back to the channel where we dig into the stories that shake the world, stories the mainstream buries. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and smack the bell, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just news. It's a revolution caught on camera. Imagine this, a young African leader, just 37, standing in the heart of global power, staring down the world's elite without a shred of fear. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, interim president of Burkina Faso, and he just delivered a speech at the United Nations that's got the internet exploding. They say he called out the West, the UN, even shadowy forces pulling strings behind the scenes. But was it real, or is there something darker at play? This is the defiant spark, the story of one man's stand that's waking a continent, and maybe something else. Buckle up, because this changes everything. A grainy drone shot of the United Nations headquarters in New York City at dusk, its glass facade reflecting a blood-red sunset. The camera pans to a crowd outside, holding signs in French, Arabic, and English. A fake X post flashes on screen, time-stamped July 10th, 2025. Traoré just shut down the UN. Africa's done playing. Chuckered defiant spark with 1.8 million views. Let's set the stage. It's July 10th, 2025, and the world's a powder keg. Geopolitical tensions are sky high, Middle East conflicts, trade wars, and a restless Africa pushing back against centuries of exploitation. In Burkina Faso, a small West African nation, Ibrahim Traoré's been making waves since seizing power in a 2022 coup. At 37, he's one of the youngest leaders out there, a military captain styling himself after Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary who dreamed of a free Africa. Traoré's kicked out French troops, nationalized gold mines, and formed the alliance of Sahel states with Mali and Niger. He's a hero to millions, a threat to the West, and a mystery to everyone else. But on this day, something happened that nobody expected, or did they? A video surfaced claiming Traoré stood up at the UN General Assembly and threw down a gauntlet that shook the world. Let's go there. A reenactment of the UN General Assembly Hall. The room is packed, diplomats in suits, cameras rolling, tension thick. Traoré, in a sharp military uniform, stands at the podium, his face calm but fierce. The screen glitches briefly, a flicker of static hinting at something unnatural. Picture the UN General Assembly, New York City, July 2025. The air is heavy with politics, diplomats whispering, power plays unfolding. Traoré's there to speak on African sovereignty, a routine address, or so they thought. But rumors are swirling. Words leak that Western powers, maybe even the US or France, tried to pressure African leaders to stay quiet on global issues, from Gaza to resource deals. Then a bombshell. A supposed UN security team tries to escort Traoré out of the hall, claiming protocol issues. He doesn't budge. Instead, he steps to the mic, looks dead into the cameras, and delivers a speech that sets the world on fire. Reenactment. Traoré grips the podium, his eyes burning. The room falls silent. His voice is steady, cutting like a blade. Traoré. We are no longer colonies. We are sovereign nations. For too long, Africa has been asked to bow, to beg, to stay silent. But no more. To those who think they can intimidate us, silence us, or exploit us, hear this. Africa does not answer to your threats. We do not answer to your money. If you come for one of us, you come for all of us. Our dignity is not for sale. The crowd erupts. Some cheer, some gasp. A low, eerie hum creeps in, like static from a corrupted broadcast. The screen flickers, and for a split second, Traoré's shadow stretches unnaturally long, jagged, like it's not his own. The hall went dead quiet, then exploded. Diplomats were stunned, some clapping, others scrambling to call their bosses. The video hit X within minutes, racking up millions of views. Hashtags like #AfricaRises and #DefiantSpark started trending across African Telegram groups, WhatsApp, even TikTok. Leaders in Mali, Niger, and Guinea reposted it. South African streets lit up with protests chanting, Traore's hands blurring or his voice warping slightly, signs of AI manipulation. So was it a deep fake? A setup to make Traore look reckless? Or was it real and the AI labels just a cover to bury the truth? Let's dig deeper. A montage of X posts and news clips. One post, time-stamped July 11th, 2025. Traore's UN speech is a wake-up call. Africa's done bowing. We're one with 2.3 million likes. Another, July 12th, 2025. Why is this video vanishing? They don't want Traore's truth out there. The screen glitches, showing a faint, shadowy figure in a suit watching from a corner. Whether it was real or not, the impact was seismic. The video spread like wildfire, not just in Africa, but globally. African diaspora in the US, Europe, even Latin America were sharing it. People called Traoré the new voice of African defiance, a leader who doesn't flinch at Western pressure. But why this moment? Why now? The story starts with whispers of Western powers leaning on African nations to stay in line. Trade deals, resource rights, even silence on global conflicts. Traoré's speech, real or staged, hit a raw nerve. It wasn't just about one leader or one country. It was about a continent sick of being a pawn on the global chessboard. A reenactment of the UN aftermath. Diplomats argue in hushed tones. Outside, a crowd chants, Africa! Africa! The camera pans to a dark hallway where a shadowy figure speaks into an earpiece. The screen glitches and a faint whisper says, they're waking up. Let's talk about Traoré. This guy's not your typical politician. Born in 1988, he's a military captain who took power in Burkina Faso after a 2022 coup, fed up with a government failing to stop jihadist attacks. Over 7,200 people were killed in the last year alone, per ACLED data, and Traoré's made it his mission to fix that. He's nationalized gold mines, rejected his presidential salary, and kicked French troops out, aligning with Russia instead. His alliance of Sahel states with Mali and Niger is a middle finger to Western influence. Fans call him a modern Sankara, fighting neocolonialism. Critics say he's a propaganda genius, dodging accountability while violence spikes. But when he stood at that UN podium, real or not, he spoke for millions who feel Africa's been silenced too long. A tense war drumbeat kicks in, pulsing like a heartbeat. The screen shows a map of Africa with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger glowing red, spreading like fire. So what was this speech about? If it was real, Traoré didn't just call out the West, he called out the entire system. Africa's dignity is not for sale, he said. Those words were for the US, France, the UN, anyone who's ever meddled in African affairs. And the timing? No accident. With France pushed out of the Sahel and Russia moving in, Traoré's riding a wave of anti-imperialist fury. But if it was a deepfake, as some claim, who made it? And why? To rally Africa? To destabilize Traoré? To spark a bigger conflict? The video's glitches, blurry hands, warped audio, point to AI, but the message felt too real, too raw. It tapped into a truth nobody wants to face. Africa's done asking permission. A montage of global reactions. In Lagos, young people wave banners with Traoré's face. In Nairobi, protesters chant, "No more silence." A fake X post, July 13th, 2025. Traoré's speech woke us up. Africa's rising, and they're scared. Defiant Spark, with 3 million views. The screen distorts, and a distorted voice whispers, they can't stop it. The fallout was instant. Across Africa, from Cape Town to Dakar, people hit the streets chanting Traoré's words. Leaders in Mali, Niger, and Guinea stood with him, posting statements of solidarity. Even in the US, African diaspora communities were buzzing, sharing the video with captions like, "The lion has roared." But the West, crickets. Mainstream media barely touched it, and when they did, they called it unverified or AI-generated. The UN issued a vague statement about maintaining order, and then the video started disappearing. YouTube flagged it as altered content. X accounts got suspended. Some who shared it reported weird glitches. Static on their TVs, whispers in their headphones, even shadows moving in mirrors. Paranoid? Maybe, but I've seen the posts. Flashback, a fake X post, July 14th, 2025. Shared Traoré's speech last night. Now my phone's glitching, and I heard a voice saying, "Africa rises." Anyone else? That we're one. With 600,000 retweets. The screen glitches, showing a blood-red map of Africa, pulsing like a heartbeat. Okay, this is where it gets creepy. Let's say the video was AI, like the fact-checkers claim. Why go to the trouble of faking something this explosive? To start a revolution? To discredit Traoré? To hide a truth too big to handle? Traoré's got enemies. Western powers aren't thrilled about his Russian ties or his push to nationalize resources. France especially is stinging from losing influence in the Sahel. There have been coup attempts against him, the latest in April 2025. Some say this speech was a setup to paint him as a loose cannon, to justify intervention, but if it was real, then Traoré just lit a match in a room full of dynamite. A reenactment of a dark room in Ouagadougou. A hacker uploads the Traoré video, their screen glowing with code. A faint whisper says, "They'll never know." Outside, a crowd chants Traoré's name. The camera pans to a shadowy figure on a rooftop, watching, holding a phone. The ripple effects were massive. The African Union started talks about a unified front against foreign interference. Leaders in Mali and Niger doubled down, echoing Traoré's call for sovereignty. Even Nigeria, despite false claims that Traoré threatened them, debunked by Africa Check, felt the vibe shift. But the creepiest part? People who shared the video reported weird stuff. Phones overheating, screens showing static, even mirrors reflecting figures that weren't there. One user in South Africa said their laptop played the speech on loop, even after they deleted it. Coincidence? Maybe. But when a continent's been oppressed for centuries, maybe its anger takes on a life of its own. A reenactment of a UN summit, July 15th, 2025. Diplomats argue nervously. A screen plays Traoré's speech, but it glitches, his voice warping. Africa will rise. A shadowy figure slips out. A fake X post flashes, July 16th, 2025. They're trying to bury Traoré's speech. Something big's coming. Defiant spark, with 4 million views. The UN was rattled. European nations built on colonial wealth faced uncomfortable questions about their role in Africa's exploitation. France, with its CFA franc and military bases, squirmed. The US, with its history of covert ops in Africa, stayed quiet. Traoré's speech, real or not, forced a reckoning. What if Africa stops playing by the West's rules? He's pushing Burkina Faso forward. Gold refineries, new airports, a postal bank to ditch French currency. But the glitches, the vanishing videos, the whispers, they're a warning. Power shifts don't come easy, and something's pushing back. The drone hum intensifies, mixed with distorted whispers. They can't stop us. The screen shows a grainy reenactment of Traoré walking through Ouagadougou at night. His shadow stretching too long, too sharp. Look, I'm not saying this is supernatural, but I'm not ruling it out. The X posts are wild. People saying their devices went haywire after sharing the video. A guy in Nigeria said his phone played Traoré's voice saying, "Africa will rise," even when it was off. Another in Mali swore their mirror showed a figure holding a spear. Crazy? Sure. But when a continent's been silenced for centuries, maybe its rage becomes something else. Traoré's speech, real or fake, isn't just words, it's a spark. And sparks start fires. Flashback. A fake X post, July 17th, 2025. Traoré's not alone. Something's moving in Africa. My TV's been glitching since I shared his speech. When we're one with 2 million likes, the screen distorts, showing a blood-red map of Africa, pulsing like a heartbeat. So where are we now? The West's scrambling to control the narrative, calling the speech a fake. Traoré's pushing forward, dodging coups and building Burkina Faso's future. The video, real or not, did its job. It's rallied millions, from Lagos to the diaspora in New York, all chanting one thing: Africa's done bowing. But the glitches, the shadows, the whispers, they're a reminder. Change comes at a cost. So what do you think? Was Traoré's stand a bold move or a dangerous gamble? And those glitches, tech glitches, or something alive? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where are you watching from? Your voice is part of this fight. The screen fades to black. Text appears. The defiant spark. Real or not, it's lit a fire. Subscribe for more stories that wake the world